The second broadcast didn't ask for listeners. It found them. At exactly 3:17 a.m., every single radio within range of Bull Shoals truck dashboards, bedside clock radios, forgotten boomboxes, buried deep in dusty sheds, snapped on at once. There was no call sign, no warning, just a low, unsettling throb, like the sound of something breathing through miles of old copper wire. And then the boogeyman spoke, but this was different. There was no showman's grin hiding in the static this time. His voice was raw, stripped of its earlier charm, and it carried a chilling weight. If you're hearing this, you're already part of it. This signal wasn't traveling through the air. It was coming up from the ground, from the flooded towns sleeping beneath the lake's surface, from deep caves where bones were stacked all wrong. The phantom DJ wasn't just broadcasting from his shack anymore. He was anchored. Something on the other side had reached out, grabbed hold of him, and discovered just how useful a ghost with a radio could be. High above the clouds, in the cold, silent orbit, the entity known as Zero Antarctica recoiled. His ship, a vessel of pure observation, registered the broadcast. The resonance engine screamed, feeding back data it had never encountered in all its eons of travel. The Ozarks weren't just singing anymore. They were answering. His species had a unique way of cataloging civilizations by their music. Harmony meant a species was stable, likely to survive. Dissonance, chaos in their sound, meant they were on the path to extinction. But what rose from Bull Shoals was neither. It was something entirely new. A recursive pattern. It was music that fed on memory, on guilt, on all the unfinished stories of the people who lived there. This was a sound that learned its listeners. Despite the unprecedented danger, Zero Antarctica knew he had to intervene. He began his descent. Down on the winding back roads, the hillbilly guitar dude felt it before he heard it. The strings on his old guitar, his constant companion, suddenly went slack, then pulled impossibly tight, tuning themselves to something deep underground. Every story he'd ever told around a campfire, every local legend about floods, ghosts, and sins buried under laughter, came rushing back to him, but now they felt heavier, more real. In that moment, he understood a profound truth. Troubadours weren't just entertainers. They were containers. They held the stories, the very soul of a place. He followed the pull, drawn to the source. When he arrived at the shack, the radio tower had changed. It hadn't grown taller. It had grown deeper. Rusted metal latticework sank into the earth like grasping roots, wrapping themselves around something ancient, something that had been sleeping there long before the dam was built, something that was never meant to transmit. The boogeyman's voice was now caught in a loop, fragmenting, bleeding into strange, unnatural rhythms that made the leaves on the surrounding trees twitch. Don't touch the dial. Don't touch the dial. Don't. Just then, a figure stepped into the clearing. It was Zero Antarctica, his form shimmering, alien and out of place in the humid Arkansas night. He raised a device and projected a counter-frequency, a sound that was sharp, cold, and precise, designed to sever the unholy connection between the ghost, the tower, and the earth. But the hills resisted. The lake, which had been lapping gently at its shores, went utterly still, its surface turning black as undeveloped film. And then faces began to appear in the water. Some were the long dead, pulled from their watery graves. Others were faces of people not yet gone, their futures reflected in the abyss. The troubadour knew what he had to do. He lifted his guitar. He didn't play to stop it. He couldn't. Instead, he played to translate it. His song gave shape and form to the horror. His lyrics wove a tale about a place that had learned how to keep souls the way a radio keeps stations, about a ghost DJ who broadcasted for too long and found something listening on the other side, and about an alien who traveled across galaxies only to realize too late that some worlds don't want to be saved. They want to be heard. As his music swelled, Harmonizing with the chaos, the boogeyman's looped fragments broke. He let out a single piercing scream, a sound of both agony and ecstasy. And then he laughed. A full, booming laugh that echoed across the valley. We're syndicated now. Something came through the signal. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't another ghost. It was a listener. An entity drawn by the broadcast, now given a physical anchor into our world. When the sun finally rose, the clearing was empty. The shack was gone. The tower was gone. The lake reflected only the blue morning sky again, as if nothing had ever happened. Zero Antarctica fled the planet, his mission a catastrophic failure. In his ship's log, he marked Earth with a new, terrifying designation, unclassified and hostile. A quarantine zone. The troubadour simply walked away, feeling older than he should have been. The strings of his guitar now permanently stained a deep, dark color, as if they absorbed the night itself. And the radio? The signal? It still turns on by itself sometimes. Not every night. Just on those quiet, lonely nights when someone nearby has a story they're trying desperately not to remember. Because Bull Shoals learned a new trick from the boogeyman, it doesn't haunt people anymore. It broadcasts them. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy stories that dig a little deeper into the strange and unknown, be sure to subscribe for more.